Good morning, and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The news is brought to you by Baum Chevy Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, as well as Connexus, offering fiber internet in Clinton. Click their icon on DeWittDailyNews.com to find out more. In June, the Clinton Board of Education voted to part ways with former Superintendent Drew Goebel. Tuesday night, calls from the community asked for the resignation of former Board of Education President Dan Matthews. Matthews resigned his position as president of the Board of Education shortly after Goebel's dismissal. Sarah Bateson was among a trio of speakers to call for the resignation of Matthews, citing inappropriate conduct with board members and staff.
I'm here with many of the people sitting here behind me to make a formal request tonight that Dan Matthews resign from the Clinton CUSD 15 Board of Education. I want to make it clear that this is not a request based simply on disagreements over policy, personalities, or the direction of the district. Healthy disagreement is an important part of public governance. My concerns are cumulative pattern of conduct that has been brought to my attention by others and that I believe warrants serious consideration because of the impacts of the functioning of the board, our employees, our administration, and the public's confidence in this district. Conduct towards board members and staff. There have been multiple occasions in which there's been that has involved yelling, profanity, and highly confrontational behavior toward fellow board members. There have also been concerns regarding comments or interactions with staff and board members that were perceived as degrading, intimidating, and personally attacking. Regardless of the underlying disagreement, I believe board members have an obligation to conduct themselves in a manner that allows employees and fellow board members to raise concerns without fear of being personally attacked or intimidated.
Rustin Wirtz has applied for the opening on the Board of Education left vacant when John Heinlein resigned shortly after the dismissal of Goebel in June. He is accusing Matthews of sharing confidential information.
Last Tuesday, a family member was cornered in a store here in town by a member of the community who was not on the board and who had told my family member that I had applied for the vacant position, as well as who also applied and who was going to be selected. When asked who had told them this information, they replied, Mr. Matthews. Mr. Matthews, is it true you share confidential information with the community? And what other closed session material have you shared? With even a speculation of distrust for the community, I think you should resign immediately. I want to thank Mrs. Ennis for receiving my email and following up with me promptly and professionally. Thank you.
Michelle Fortune also called for Matthews' resignation, citing alleged comments from Matthews speaking poorly of the district and questioning why he would want to serve on the board when having a low opinion of the district.
I have been told by several people on how Dan Matthews has represented himself as our school board president and conducted himself, talking horrible about our school, our district, and teachers. I've had 3 kids go through this district and 1 currently still in this district. Never in my life would I ever talk to someone how you talk to someone. So I greatly apologize for everyone that has come into contact with you or you've said something to. How can you continue on our school board if you feel this way about our district, our teachers? So I'm requesting your resignation immediately from our district. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Also at the Tuesday night Clinton Board of Education meeting, Chris Hammer was named the Clinton Board of Education president. The board approved the tentative financial year 27 budget. It will go on file and be voted on in September. To allow the tentative budget to be on file for the required 30 days, the board moved its September meeting to Tuesday, September 29th. In its consent agenda, the board approved the resignation of its junior high girls track coach and the varsity baseball coach and approved the hiring of Brian Ennis as the varsity baseball coach. The Board of Education also debated its policy regarding animals that were not service animals in the school buildings, a discussion prompted by a pair of CES staff who bring their pets into the building. Coming up shortly on this expanded newscast, Warrensburg-Latham High School beefs up counseling staff. Local authorities say the summer at Clinton Lake and Weldon Springs State Parks was relatively quiet. On the WHOW Morning Show Tuesday, Department of Natural Resources Conservation Police Officer Noah Workman told the Hart Media Group they were fortunate there were not more major issues at the lake because they were very short-staffed this summer.
It was the tedious, not small things, I don't want to say, just the typical things, but we have officers right now. We have recruits in the academy, so that took 2 officers out of the field, and then I went away for military leave. One of our other officers got promoted to a sergeant, so we were just very short manned in our district this summer. So I think we probably had the same amount of busyness. It was just spread thin. We were spread thin.
Yeah.
So the work was just going to 2-3 officers to cover the whole district. Domestics, things like that, we still had those. The fights at the state parks, of course, we're focused on getting the boats on the water at the different bodies of water within our district. So with 4 officers working, it was just, we're stretched thin. I must speak from my perspective. Like I said, I've been hitting the boat ramps and the boat patrols hard since I got back in the beginning of August, late July. I haven't. I complimented a lot of people the other day sitting at boat ramps, just kids in life jackets. I've said it, I've harped it a million times on this show. And that's one of my big focuses is to keep your kids safe. Obviously everybody's safe, but the kids are my number one priority focus. And I've just noticed a lot of it. And I'll get out and tell people like, hey, thank you very much for your kid being in a life jacket, because so many times in law enforcement, your interaction with law enforcement is going to be a negative. Make it a point to get out and say, thanks, following the rules. Thanks for, following the law and keeping your kids safe.
There have been several positives at the lake recently. Officer Workman credits not only boaters on the lake this summer for adhering to safety vest regulations, but he is noticing speeding in the park is down as well.
The speeding, I've been doing speed in the park. I kind of talk about that year in and year out. I've noticed it slowed down. So as a whole, like I can sit at my little spot. Maybe they just found out where I sit. I don't change it up too often. Maybe they've just found where I sit. But in my one little area, I've noticed the speeds have gone down, which I've asked, everybody to do. And that was very much appreciated, especially out at Clint Lake. They got the bike walk path, but some people just prefer walking on that pavement for some reason with that very narrow road. And so it just keep them safe. People like to have a couple beverages when they go camping and hang, and you get too many and emotions get high. And then the heat. It's funny, in law enforcement, you talk to probably the chief and the sheriff on here, and they always say they have the calls for service and everything. As the temperature rises, the amount of calls, it's a direct correlation. And so that holds true with the same out of the Clinton Lake, Weldon Springs, and even Kickapoo and Vermilion, Vernon View up in Bloomington, all of our state parks. As the temperature goes up, alcohol increases, population of people going into the parks increase, and you're just going to have an increase in calls for service. And domestics, lost kids, that's another one. Kids go out at night to go walk the timber, and mom and dad kind of panic because they haven't found them. So your kid life 360, if you let your kids do that, put an air tag on them. But we get a couple of those every year. Wow. We get our lost dog, which I'll help people with their lost dog. You get camping, it's kind of like boating. You get kind of that relaxed state, and you just kind of don't think about the little rules or the little reasons why we have these rules. And people let them off, and then they'll call us and like, my dog ran away, and say, I wasn't on the leash in the beginning. It's more at that point, it's more about finding somebody's dog than it is to address the dog off leash. We'll address that once the dog's